Welcome to another episode of Navigating the Child Welfare System. I'm Latoya Conway Hampton. I'm your host. Before I begin, I want to let you know that in this episode, we will shine a light on understanding DCFS, their roles in protecting our children. Join us as we explore the history, the federal laws, how the pivotal role of the Department of Children and Family Services safeguards our children and their well-being. So, historically, there's been an evolution of DCFS as it shaped into the current role that it has today. So, way back when the Department of Children and Family Services came around because children were being abused, neglected, and assaulted, not only by their family and their parents, but by neighbors, by teachers, by clergies, and all of these sort of things. So, of course, just like animal rights, they sat down and sat around the table and decided, you know what, we need to be able to protect these children from the person who's supposed to protect them. Sometimes it's a mom and dad. So they came up with these group of laws in 1971 is when it started. Now, I'm 55 now, and so that's a long time ago. We talking about 54 years ago, 52 years ago, based on now. But they spent a lot of years revamping and learning different ways to make sure that the children are safe. So they came up with different types of safety challenges that was available. The maltreatment, neglect, general neglect, physical neglect, mental neglect, educational neglect. I mean, they have all of these pivotal components and facets that say sometimes as a parent, we forget to take care of every single thing, which can be a challenge to the wholeness of a child. So child welfare, of course, federal government got the child welfare, making sure that they can monitor how we take care of our children. So I want to say this, the process is influenced and developed by some challenges that may happen with our children. So come with me here. I don't know what brought you to this page or make you want to watch this video. Sometimes we make mistakes and not understand that we're making a mistake because it could be our family, it can be something that just happened, it could be generational. Just a simple mistake like, let me think of a big mistake that I made that I now know better. One of my perceptions was African-American kids didn't stand in corners. You don't put black kids in corners. That just don't make sense. And I believed that for a long time until I took parenting classes. And once I took parenting classes, I really recognized if I spend time teaching and guiding versus yelling and fussing, my kids will follow. But that was generational. That come from, you have to whoop them, you have to whoop them, you have to whoop them. And that's not actually the truth. When you think about the whippings and all of those things, it go way back to slavery days and how a lot of those things were done. It's not healthy, it's not responsible. So that's one of the things that I learned that wasn't good. But it came because I got a whooping, so I whooped them. I put them in corners. I did all of those. I tried the corner thing after I learned something different. I learned how to really nurture my kids in a much different way. There are different type of federal laws and regulations that DCFS have to operate by. And I have to say this. Sometimes it's practice, it's policy, and it's procedure. And a lot of times they all don't meet up. Because the policy means they need to follow it. But some people begin to practice things that they feel like work in the family's needs when it's not a policy. So as families, a lot of times we have to realize that when the child welfare steps in our life, because the federal government sends them there, that they have these set of marching orders. And if somewhere, somehow they miss something, and they're working with us, or a kid dies, or a kid gets seriously hurt, they are legally responsible for our children when they're caring for our children. So say, for instance, you have a foster parent that had sexual assault on a child. Well, previously, that foster parent has been reported that this parent is not being responsible. They touched a child. They did this. They did that. They're dressing inappropriate. They're doing inappropriate thing, inappropriate touch, good touch, bad touch, all those things. And then they stay in that home. Then later on, if something happened that comes out and that child was actually really assaulted, of course that foster parent is going down, which they should. And then secondly, the worker is going to have to be held accountable for making a conscious decision to leave the child in the home. So of course, accountability and effectiveness is important all the way across the board, from us, from the department, from the foster parents. So all these laws and regulations not only regulate us as parents, but the other parties as well. What ways do DCFS collaborate with other people in the community? Some of the things that they do is we here at Two Lifestyles, and at our agency, they refer women at one point only, but now we have branched out to families, including the men. And so they would refer their women or their young girls to our program because we're a stakeholder. We've been in the Antelope Valley We've been in the Antelope Valley providing supportive services for over 24 years. However, we've been in a consistent facility for 13. And in order to fulfill this desire, we have to make sure that we meet all of the needs that the department is seeking. So we collaborate as a community to find out what's the well-being of the child. Right now in our facility, we not only work with the moms, but we also work with the youth. And as I just mentioned, we also work with the fathers. So those are some of the things that DCFS does to safeguard. For one, they follow policy and procedures, right? Two, they make sure that your children are safe and that they're keeping up with the milestones that influence them to be healthy and responsible. And three, they collaborate with us as a community, as stakeholders, to make sure that we can meet the needs to get the parents strong again so the families can be well-rounded. Thank you for tuning in to this episode. I'll see you next week.